Welcome back to another episode of Good Earners Reviewing The Sopranos. I was originally going to go with Best Decision Made, but I didn't feel inspired for some reason, so I decided to go to Word to the Wise. And this one today is, as many of them, they're always heartfelt, but this one today is so interesting because if you're not a parent, like this scene doesn't, I mean, not to say it won't resonate for you, because it can, from being like the child to the parent. But the scene here, it's not just one quote, it's the flurry of thoughts and statements that Tony makes in this episode. The episode is the season 6 episode, Walk Like a Man. He has this session with Melfi. He's kind of giving her the generic answers until he gets to a point. And I believe this is after AJ had the attempt on his own life in the pool. And Tony is really breaking down in this moment. So just to deal with a little bit of the quote. So I'll put a little bit of the scene right here.
Obviously, I'm prone to depression. A certain bleak attitude about the world. But I know I can handle it. Your kids, though. It's like when they're little and they get sick. You'd give anything in the world to trade places with them so they don't have to suffer. And then to think you're the cause of it. It's in his blood, this miserable fucking existence. My rotten fucking putrid genes have infected my kid's soul. That's my gift to my son.
Just a little bit of that. Tony says one of the most profound things, and if y'all listen to us at our spinoff podcast, No More Half Measures or Breaking Bad podcast, y'all know how I've echoed and doubled down on the idea that the family aspect in that show just doesn't hit the same. It doesn't resonate the same versus a show like The Sopranos. We love The Sopranos, of course. That's why we started Good Earners before any other show that we started reviewing. This show is so different from any show, and this moment is so different. And the reason this moment is so different for me, the whole quote of it all, is because Tony knows that he is a sociopath, a psychopath, so to speak. But there's this realization, but he's not so far gone in his putrid genetics that he calls out in this scene that he doesn't realize the effect. Like most times when we see these shows, and sometimes in reality where it's the drug dealer or the street guy or somebody involved with organized crime or unorganized crime, street crime, their goal is never to let it affect their children, never let it go down. We get a version of this in a few seasons where Carmela, is talking to a therapist, and he pretty much told her like it's blood money. Like it was one of the most haunting scenes of the show because she was like, my babies, and her eyes was red, and she was really laying it out there, even though she still continued to move forward with being with Tony and knowing what he does. But in this scene, Tony says that I know that I'm prone to depression. This is the realization. And this is the payoff of 6 seasons of The Sopranos. He says, I know that I'm prone to depression. I know that, I can handle it. I got a bleak way of looking at the world. The way I look at things are different, but I can handle it. And then he leaves his statement and says, but your kids though. And then it breathes. And for a moment, and rest in peace to the late, great James Gandolfini, Jimmy, like that moment, I believe he might have had children at this point. I didn't research that, but I'm pretty sure he had children. So I don't know if he was really pulling from that, but he's just a wonderful actor regardless if he was just in the scene. Him in this moment, he uses the perfect example because I'm a father of 2 and one of my children are of a young age of 2 and then the other is 11. And I've been through it both times. But when your child does get sick, you wish you could trade with them because they have no idea what's going on. Of course, we've been through, we were all kids, and I'm sure our parents felt that way too. Those that, had parents that were involved, or good parents, or at least decent, that would make sure when you were down and out, they would look out for you. Him saying that, like, you would trade, and then going through the realization of he has an issue, he has depression, and y'all go all the way back to Down Neck, like where AJ said he was depressed. It's an overlooked line. This is chubby fat AJ in season 1. Like, it's overlooked, but it's like, yeah, sure. He's like, he said, nah, you're just upset because you did something stupid and got caught. But now we come here in this present moment, and now you see, like, oh, that was a nugget, that was an Easter egg, that was a seed sown early, that he had those same things. Even when we see him a little bit later, a few seasons later, when they were going to send him to the little military school, and him passing out, I'm sorry, before that, him passing out on the football field. Right. AJ is a similar mirror to Tony, as much as we've given flack to the AJ character and we don't care much for him. But in this moment, just going through the fact that, like, he's going through it and knowing what you've passed down, then to say, and it's because of me. And he says this, it's in his blood. He's saying that there's nothing that can be done. You can manage this, but there's nothing that can be done. He's miserable. He's a miserable existence. And he calls his genes rotten. And, we get a lot of revelation on, like, Tony, his relationship with Johnny Boy, and seeing him have to lie for his father, because he was out with a Gumar when he should have been with his mom, and his mom was, sick, so this scene hits so different. It resonates so deeply. And it's beautiful in the sense that I don't care how anybody feels, and y'all know how I feel about the diagnosis. I'll keep saying the same thing over and over. Yeah, we get diagnosed that Tony's like pretty much a psychopath, sociopath. Spoiler alert, but I still, that may be true, and that may have been the intent from season 1, but I still see this as real. I think this is real. How he deals with other things, sure. It's a plethora of things based on how they diagnosed him. But it was a lot of things where he was taking up for Janice in a session with Melfi, but then turned around and said, hey, it wasn't like that. I wasn't protecting Janice. We just grew up in a house where we had to, we all had to get it how we lived, but just this idea of you pass down these things. I think about this so much. With my kids. So it's like, there's things about me that I don't like. And I don't mean just some surface level, but there's deep rooted things that you're in research of. How did I get here? Why am I like this? Why do I think this way? Why do I feel this way? Why am I this way? And then when you kind of, even if you rather you got an answer or not answered, but when you come to a conclusion and figure out how to deal with it, you're like, okay, well, at least I can manage it. Similar to what he said, I can deal with this. But your kids though, and now you think about, like, well, what are my kids going to do if they have this trait, if they have this thing about them that's in me? How are they going to manage this? Are they going to even be open to listen to me when I tell them what's going on? So, man, this is a beautiful scene. And it's one of my favorite scenes, and I'm glad I got to do this here. We talked at length, I believe, when we did Walk Like a Man. But I think this deserved a rewind a little bit, because I could get more into it, being the father of the three. Shout out to Rick. Shout out to my goodness. Shout out to Spike Lee, my brothers, the two capos. But this is something that I needed to discuss and talk about, because it's a scene that hits so hard every single time. And y'all write in too. I would love to get your take on the scene. And some people will still say, oh, he's full of shit, he's bullshitting, he can cry on the spot. Because I mean, we know his last session with Melfi, he was working up to tears and stuff, and she pretty much was looking at him like, boy, you full of shit, I'm dropping you. So don't get it twisted. I'm not saying Tony can't cry on the spot. I'm not saying that, people could say this is not real, or this is Tony still egging her on, or however you want to put it. I can still say that if you want to, that's fine. But my interpretation and how I received it, that's the beauty of art. I didn't take that. I took it as, let's set aside all of the things that I am, in the sense of a evil man, a man that cheats, a man that this is what I believe Carmela had always seen in Tony. Like this part, she's like, Tony was my guy. It's this. That's why I believe this can exist. Two things can be true. I think that Tony really did want to be a better father, but he just didn't have the examples and he just couldn't do it. He didn't have the teaching. He didn't have the background. He wasn't a part of the community where he's seen that, the culture. And, you know, then you got genetics of just things that are similar to, you know, his father. And then we don't even want to get started with his mother. Oh, so, yeah, I can go on all day about this. I love this scene so much, and I hope it's resonated for y'all as it has for me. So y'all write in goodearnerpod@gmail.com or hit us up on Instagram. Goodearnerpod _Sopranos. Y'all can DM us about y'all experience with this quote, this word to the wise episode, or just the Soprano episode of Walk Like a Man in general, but that specifically, it's an interesting thing. So I would love to hear y'all feedback and how y'all feel about things. And again, hopefully soon enough, me and the other two capos, we're going to try to put out a few episodes on the feed. And then also, hopefully I get some more guests, again, listeners, supporters of ours. Yeah, I want to get on here, have a conversation like I had with Monica. Shout out to her. I want to talk about an episode and connect it to your real life. And, you know, just again, the transformative ability of the Sopranos. You know, we can have that conversation. So with that being said, thank y'all for listening. And remember, don't forget about it.